All right. Shalom Aleichem Rabotai. Welcome to our Wednesday class on Yalkut Yosef. We are continuing with our interesting topic, whether bread is going to be hamotzi or a cookie is going to be mezonot, or where does it flip. So the last point that we left is, we'll continue actually from the point after that. We left with the pockets, right? Pataba bekisnin, we said that, what does this pocket mean halachically? When is it mezonot? What is a pat? A bread that comes with a pocket. We gave three different opinions. One said it's actually a pocket that holds inside something like a cheese. Another opinion says no, it means that it's sweet. Another opinion said no, it means that it's crummy. Either way, all of those halacha lema'aseh today are under the category of mezonot. And now we come to an interesting topic. Chala metuka, a sweet chala, raisin chala. This happens sometimes when you're hosted with Ashkenazi families, that for them, a sweet chala is still hamotzi. So they, as long as it's not made with mei pirot, with the juice instead of water, for them it's going to be hamotzi. So they take that sweet challah, now you're being served, but for you it's mezonot. What do you do? What's the solution? Is it really mezonot? So the answer is, according to the taste. If you taste it and it tastes to you like something sweet, not like bread, or you taste a lot of oil or a lot of honey, whatever it is, then it's going to be mezonot. But if you would still see this individually, could be Steve has one taste, Simon has another taste. But if you feel like to you this is normal bread, you could say hamotzi lechem min haaretz on that bread. Now, what if it's mezonot? It is mezonot. I tasted it and it's sweet. You're allowed to taste it without a bracha. Even a pizza, as we said, you want to know if the pizza is mezonot or hamotzi. Most pizzas are hamotzi, unless purposely they make the dough with milk or with orange juice to make it sweet and have a different taste. But you're allowed to take a piece of the dough without a bracha, just to taste, to understand if it's going to be hamotzi or mezonot. Does it taste normal this way, or does it taste to me like a different type of bread? So now you discover that it's mezonot, and you're sitting in a meal, and you say, you know what? I want to turn this into hamotzi. Maybe it's Shabbat, let's say. And on Shabbat, it's important to have a motzi, barkat hamazon. So what do? We learned that if you ate 8 ounces of a mezonot item, you wash your hands without a bracha, but you wash your hands, you say hamotzi lechem min haaretz, and you say barkat hamazon. Can I do this on any mezonot? We're about to discover that the answer is no. There's certain things that cannot be hamotzi no matter what. For example, pasta. Pasta cannot be hamotzi. Anybody have a reason why pasta cannot be hamotzi? We didn't learn this, so you're not supposed to know, but I thought maybe you guess. It's not baked. In order to be hamotzi, you cannot be cooked in water. Hamotzi has to have a certain characteristics of bread. If it's not baked, if it's cooked in water, then it could never be hamotzi. Another thing that is not hamotzi is something fried, like a donut, even though there's a little bit of a machloket, but generally, items that are fried, if you ever had bisli, that snack that kids have, let's say I eat 8 ounces, I have 5 bags of bisli. Can I say hamotzi and birkat hamazon? The answer is no, because it's fried, it doesn't have the style of bread, it will not get hamotzi and birkat hamazon. Cookies, they remind you of bread. They're baked in the oven. I could say mezonot and hamotzi, or I could say hamotzi if I have 8 ounces, right? But pasta or something that's fried, something that's cooked, you cannot say hamotzi on it, even if you have a lot. Now, what happens if I took cookies and I said, you know what, I want to have a sa'uda. I'm going to do hamotzi and I want to do birkat hamazon. You finished, you ate, you left, and you say, oh my God, wait, did I say birkat hamazon or did I not say birkat hamazon? So what's the halacha when I have a doubt? Do I say the bracha or do I not say the bracha? It's a trick question. What's the halacha when you have a doubt? Steve, I see the light bulb.
It's from the Torah, so you say.
Very good. Meaning usually if it's on water, if it's on a fruit, it's not from the Torah, then we say if there's a doubt, we don't say. If it's on bread, we definitely say because it's from the Torah. What's the deen with ala michya, or what's the deen with mezonot that I turned them into hamotzi? Since now the mezonot is like hamotzi and I have a doubt, then I have to repeat the beracha. It gets the level of hamotzi and it gets the level of birkat hamazon, which is from the Torah. Very good, Steve. All right, now I had a box of like 6 croissants from an amazing bakery. I don't know, imagine the bakery of your taste. And you said, no, I'm going to eat all these. If I would eat all these, of course it's hamotzi and berkat hamazon, but I'm crazy. I'm going to have one, two, and that's it. Only what happened? You started eating one and two, and you're like, oh my God, this is too good. And you go and you go and you go and you end up finishing it. What is the din? After eating two, three, I'm like, look how much I'm eating. Should I say hamotzi now? Because I'm probably going to finish it. Or no. So we learned this is a foundation that is good to know. It goes according to your thought in the beginning. In the beginning, when I came to eat, what I thought I'm going to say, mezonot, I'm not going to eat 8 ounces. So I ate 2 ounces. I said mezonot. After 2 ounces, 3 ounces, I decided, oh my God, I'm going to eat 5 more ounces. I still don't have 8 ounces before me so that I could say hamotzi on it. Since I don't have 8 ounces before me, or even if I gradually reached 8 ounces, but I kept on adding and adding, I do not say hamotzi at that point. However, this is the twist. Since eventually you did reach 8 ounces, you will say berkat hamazon. But you will not say hamotzi in the beginning or even in the middle, even though you see you're about to actually eat 8 ounces. All right. Now what happens if I have those 6 croissants and Simon was up all night on Shavuot and he's very hungry and he says, I want to eat all these right now. I'm starving from all night. And he does the netilah without a bracha and he says hamotzi and he starts eating the 8 croissants. Only after 4 croissants, he goes, oh my God, I can't believe I said hamotzi. What was I thinking? I can finish 8 croissants right now? Question is, what does he do now? Or does he have to force himself to continue? We're human beings, so the Torah is not going to force you to do something that is hard for you. But is it considered beracha levatala? Because I said hamotzi and I'm not really eating a portion that's right for hamotzi. And the foundation repeats itself again. It goes according to your thought in the beginning. You thought that you're eating enough for hamotzi. You said hamotzi according to your thought. Then you are good, even if you end up not doing it. If you meant to do it, you did what the halacha requires from you, and you are exempt, no punishment, no bracha levatala. You are all good. Interesting case. Trick question. How can I eat something in a meal?
Wait, sorry, Ziv. So you're good. So you have to say Birkat Hamazon in that case.
No, because you didn't eat enough for berkat hamazon.
Oh, so you just Al Mechia?
Yeah, you'll say ala mechia at the end. Exactly. The question is, I said hamotzi and it wasn't a right bracha. On the hamotzi, you're forgiven. Because at the end of the day, you meant to say hamotzi. You thought you're going to do it. At the end, say ala mechia. All right? Now, how could it be that I eat a fruit in a meal and don't say a beracha, and then I eat the same fruit after 2 minutes in the same meal, and I do say a bracha on it? So the answer is fruitcake. I eat a cake that has slices of peaches, let's say, like a peach pie. There's actual pieces of peach on the pie, and I also have a peach on my side. I'm eating the peach pie. What is the ikar? What is the majority? What am I eating here? I'm eating a mezonot item that has decorations of fruits. I don't say a separate beracha. I say mezonot, and I'm eating peaches. And even if in the middle, no, but Ziv, look, I just took a bite, only a peach went into my mouth. I didn't even taste mezonot. I don't say borei pri ha'etz? No, because you're eating it with the pie. This bite didn't have the pie, it's okay. The bracha on that bite was still mezonot, and you continue eating that. You finished eating the pie, now you want to have a peach. Now you're going to say borei pri ha'etz on the peach. But wait, I just ate a full one. It doesn't matter. That was with the mezonot covered it. Now you're eating it alone. You're going to say a bracha on it. All right. Are we allowed? The Yalkut Yosef brings up a topic that I think we've learned once before, but it's good to repeat it. He says, am I allowed on the topic of berachot to give someone food that I know that he doesn't say a beracha? Am I making him sin? There's a sin in the Torah. Lifnei iver lo titen michshol. Don't put a stumble. What is it called? Before a blind man. Something like that. Is that allowed or is that forbidden? Anybody remember what we said? I will remind you. He says that it is better to prevent yourself from giving that to that person. Okay, so if he's a stranger and he's not expecting it from you, it's easier. A guy came to fix something in your house. Even though in America, usually the workers are goyim. It's not a problem. They don't have to say bracha. But today I had a guy from the internet company, which hopefully Hashem will bless it, that everything will go smoothly today because they fixed it. And he comes, and actually, when I think about it, he was an Arab also, no problem. But sometimes they're Jews, and they come, and what are you going to do? They're thirsty, they're working. So says the Yalkut Yosef, you can't make the Torah look bad. You can't make a Jew look cruel. If the guy's sweating and he's hot, he wants to drink, you're not giving him up. So we suggested that you give it to him. First of all, if you don't hand it to him in his hand, or you just put it before him and he takes it, it's not considered like you gave it to him. The problem only begins when you put it in his hand. So if you avoid that, good. Says the Yalkut Yosef, if you're able to tell him, my friend, please bring a bracha into my home, say a bracha. Most people, when I tell them that, they go like this. Sometimes they even say amen on their own bracha before they take the sip. I'm like, don't say amen, just drink. And say, I did it good. I'm like, drink. That happens all the time. But you see, Am Yisrael, they love mitzvot. You tell them, they do. And we also learned that your own hand can't be considered a cover. So when he does that, I quickly take my kippah off and I put it floating above his hand, like so he doesn't see. We try to make it work. You're exempt. If you didn't hand it to him and he did what he did, you're exempt. But you can gain him to say bracha. And if not, if you know that this person doesn't know brachot, he doesn't look like he's usually, maybe it's not nice to say, but usually the Sephardim, even if they're not religious, they grew up in a home that was brachot and kiddush. Ashkenazim that are irreligious, you don't know. Some yes, some no. So it's a bigger risk. Most Sephardim know how to say brachot. You tell them, make a bracha for me. They'll be, oh, let me give you a bracha. They're happy about it. So that's what we do. So try. If not, you could also say the bracha yourself, out loud, she'akol, niya bidvaro. I'm like, dude, I'm having you in mind. He doesn't even know what's happening, but you said the bracha. Hopefully, it included him as well.
Zib, that's what you used to do when we would learn in person and we would snack. You just say the bracha out loud and hopefully, hopefully we follow.
Yeah. Baruch Hashem. That was a long time ago. Baruch Hashem.
Yeah.
10 years now, no? Something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, my son was 6 months old when we were in Miami that year that the whole thing began, and now he's 10 and a half. It's 10 years. It's unbelievable. This summer, it's going to be 10 years. All right, where are we? Now there's a rule. There's a rule in the Gemara. En mesichin b'shat sa'uda. No talking while eating. Why? Because we have two pipes here. There's a windpipe and the food pipe, I guess it's called, whatever it is. And when you talk while you're eating, it may switch off from one to the other and someone may choke. Yalkut Yosef says this is a true halacha, but it only exists back then when people were eating behasava. They were leaning and eating like we do on Pesach, like kings. Then that danger exists. But when you sit straight and eat, he says that danger doesn't exist. So of course you're allowed to have conversations during your meal. However, he says, on Pesach, be careful. Because on Pesach we do eat in hasava. So while you're eating in the hasava, don't talk too much. Be busy with the matzah or the grape juice, whatever you're drinking. Okay. Now the Yalkut Yosef stops with the halakhot for a second, and he gives us hanhagot, behavior. See, the Torah is not just a book of rules. It teaches you how to be a mensch, how to be a good guy. So says the Yalkut Yosef, let me give you a few tips on how to conduct yourself on the table. The big book of manners. It says like this. When you're eating with a friend, don't look at your friend's plate because it may embarrass him that you're looking to see what he's eating, what is he not eating. Another thing he says, don't take a bite of your bun or your bread and then put it back on the table. It's mi'us, it's not, disgust people to see your bite left in the bread that's on the table. Cut off a piece and eat it like a ben adam. If you are sitting down with someone that is older than you, allow them to take first from the food and then take yourself. I think most people will do that naturally, but this is what it is. If the balabait respects you with food, eat. Because we should do whatever the balabait tells us to do. He says, however, it would be nice, as derech eretz, he says, to not accept right away. He's basically saying, do tarof a little bit. Say, no, and then wait until he pushes you again, and okay, let's eat, all right? He says, make sure not to get yourself dirty. When he has a stain on him, it's much worse than a regular person. They're all learned guys, he says, don't get dirty, keep yourself clean. While you're chewing, he says, chew quietly and slowly. Don't hold a big piece of bread that's too big. And even when you're alone, he says, don't eat like an animal, like big pieces down, like slowly, nicely, don't get yourself dirty. Also, he says, while you're eating, especially next to other people. Don't eat and drink while you're standing, and make sure to leave a little bit food in your plate. He says, even though that's not a requirement of the halacha, but it's derech eretz, to show that you're not ra'avtan. Ra'avtan is like someone that's hungry. Like, we're not hungry, we're eating because, we want to be comfortable so we can continue with our day. It's not, the purpose is not eating. When you eat everything, so leave a little bit in your place. I always have a question, isn't it bal tashchit? We learned that you're not allowed to destroy food. I'm eating this, I'm leaving a piece. Nobody is going to eat the piece that I left. Isn't it bal tashchit? If you get the question, it's going to be thrown out. Someone can enjoy this. Why do that? What we learned once that the answer is, if there is a need, there is no bal tashchit. The need right now for you to leave a piece is to make yourself understand that you're not an animal. That I can control myself. I don't have to have the last bite. The Rav once made a joke, like if you ever had a shawarma and a lafa, I don't know if you guys understand the craving that Israeli has for a shawarma and a lafa, but a good shawarma with the hummus and the amma and the harif and all the meat, and then you roll it up and eat it. When you get to the last bite, it's all the rivers of the shawarma that fell down. They're all waiting for you in that last bite to take that last bite and say, you know what, I'm not going to eat it. Ooh, it's a big test. One time the rabbi said, a student came, says, Rabbi, I listened to your class yesterday. The last bite of the shawarma, I put it on the side and I didn't eat it. He says, wow, kol hakavod. So what did you do? Weren't you hungry? He says, yeah, I ordered another lafa and I ate it. No, he says, you missed the whole purpose. The whole purpose is to stay a little bit, hungry, not to finish everything. But either way, he says, even though it's not the halacha, it's derech eretz. Derech eretz, and there's no bal tashchit when there's a need. You're in a brit milah. Someone says, Simon, I want to pour a cup of Blue Label for you. Be happy for me. I just had a baby boy. Oh, yeah, sure. You pour it. He turns around. You throw the cup in the garbage. Is it bal tashchit? I'm ruining food. It's expensive also. The answer is it's not bal tashchit because there's a need. What's the need? I want to make that man happy. He has a simcha. I don't want to take away from his simcha. No, I don't drink. You don't drink. You came to my simcha. You throw it away. It's not considered that you ruined the food because you did it for a purpose. When is it bad? When you're playing with food, you're ruining it for no reason. It's just now no one could eat it. That's bal tashchit. But if there's a purpose, there's a reason, it would be okay. And on the topic of not putting food in disgrace, Shulchan brings us a few halakhot. Are we allowed to throw candies on a chatan and a kala, like the custom is in Bet Knesset on Shabbat? Is there a problem with that? So today we have wrapped candies. Usually it doesn't get so damaged, but back in the day they had these sugar candies and they would throw it. He says, whenever you throw it, make sure that you throw it in a way that the food is not going to get destroyed so that no one can enjoy it anymore. That would be a problem. If you throw it in a nice way where it's to respect and to honor, that's perfectly fine. He says, what about throwing the bread on Shabbat? Right? So he says, as we learned, says that if it's not going to make the bread disgusting, meaning you didn't throw it and it fell into water or it fell on the floor and it's now no one wants to eat it. If you're just passing it over, it's not so bad, he says. There's a machloket. There's a machloket whether it would be allowed, it would not be allowed. Meaning if you throw it and it got disgusting and no one wants to eat it, for sure that's forbidden. But if you pass it like, as we said, the Mashari custom used to be to throw the pieces of bread down. He says some say it disgraces the bread, some say it doesn't. The Rav, the Yalkut Yosef says the halacha don't do it. He says he forbids it, but there are opinions that allow it. Of course, if our forefathers did it, they had someone to rely on. But if we are learning Yalkut Yosef, the dry halacha is why put yourself in the doubt if it's disgraceful for the bread or not. We give the bread respect, we pass it down nicely. He brings another interesting case. Back in the day, and I think if you ask our ancestors, our mothers, grandmothers, some of them still do it. They do the chershul, the tershi, what is it called, where they pickle items. So when they pickle items, what do? Sometimes they would put a slice of bread on the bottom of that big jar. I don't know that, but he says that they would do it, and it improves the pickling process, and it makes the whatever items you have there, if it's pickles, if it's garlic, it makes them taste better. But what happens on the way? The bread now, no one has ever been able to eat it anymore. It's disgusting, right? Someone's going to eat that pickled bread. What did we learn before? It's not considered bal tashchit if there was a need for it. There's a need to put the bread over there. It improves the other food. Therefore, it's not considered disgraceful for the bread. It was used to improve food. And then he says that would be okay. Now about drinks. I forgot to say bracha. I took a cup of water. go up there and it's in my mouth. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't say bracha. I want to say shakol niyam bidvaro. What do I do? Do I have to spit it out? That's the part that's related to us. If you spit it out, you're not going to be able to re-drink it. It's disgusting. No one's going to want to do that. That's the Yalkut Yosef. You would swallow it without spitting it out, and in your heart, have the beracha in mind. Say in your heart, shakol niyam bidvaro, and enjoy it and drink it. But he says, if you're going to drink more after that sip, don't rely on that thing that you did with your heart. No, that's, according to the Rambam, that is okay, but most opinions don't hold that that's fine. And therefore, say now, shakol niyam bidvaro. But either way, he says, in case the halacha is like the Rambam, and when I just thought of it, it's considered like a beracha, then say, Baruch Shem kevod malchuto leolam va'ed. Whenever you say a beracha that may be levatala, when you say Baruch Shem kevod malchuto leolam va'ed, it kind of like, it relaxes the fire. So I had the thought in mind, shakol niyam bidvaro. Then when you want to continue drinking, say Baruch Shem kevod malchuto leolam va'ed, and now say shakol, so you covered all the sides. It happens. A lot of the times it happens, you're in a rush, you take, oh my God, I didn't say bracha yet. You do not have to spit it out. All right. There's a concept called maim emtsaim. So there are three waters. Maim rishonim, the first water is before you eat the bread, al netilat yadayim. The last water is maim achronim. Right before we do birkat hamazon, we wash our fingers. There's two reasons for that. We won't get into the Kabbalistic reason, but the simple reason is because back in the day, they would eat with their hands. And there was a very strong salt called melech sedomit, the salt of Sodom. And that salt was so strong, and if they would touch their eyes, they could get blind. So everybody had accustomed to wash their fingers after the meal, before Birkat Hamazon. So if they leave, they remember that their hands are clean now, and they don't forget, and they touch their eyes. But what about the middle water? This is the topic that the Yalkut Yosef is bringing up now. There's middle water. The middle water comes on Shabbat, for example. If you eat fish and then you eat the meat, just don't eat them in a row. We know that Sfaradim, we don't mix fish and cheese. We also don't mix fish and meat, right? So, Ashkenazim also don't mix the fish with the meat, but with the cheese, they are more lenient on it. Some Sfaradim are also lenient on it as well, so I'm not getting into that because even Rabbi Ben Chaim is lenient on eating fish with cheese, but most rabbis don't agree. So, whatever you do, you have who to rely on. But the driest Sephardic halacha, according to the Kabbalah, definitely is do not eat the fish with the milk. But now I'm on Shabbat, and I'm eating fish, and I'm about to eat meat. There's something called maim emtzaim, middle water. It's reshut. It's not an obligation to wash your hands. When is it not an obligation? When you did not touch the fish with your hands. So your hands are clean, you use the knife and fork. You don't have to. If you touched it with your hands, then you should, because you may have remnants of fish on your hands, and you come to eat the meat, it may mix in your mouth, etc. You didn't touch, you don't have to wash your hands. But you do have to wash your mouth. Now, what does it mean? I have to go to the bathroom, use mouthwash, and start brushing my teeth? No. Take a sip of water, eat a piece of bread so that if anything was stuck in your mouth, it's not there anymore, and now you're good to have the meats. But don't eat them one right after the other without making a stop. And the topic here is maim emtzaim, that if your hands also got dirty, you have to. Even if your hands didn't get dirty, it's recommended. But he calls it maim emtzaim, reshut, permission, meaning if you want to, you could do it. I try to do it bli neder, especially on Shabbat. But if you can't do it, or you're in a restaurant and it's hard to go and come back, and drink a little water, eat a little bread, and you are okay. All right, yeah, we have 6 more minutes, so we could touch another topic. The bracha on wine and water during a meal. So we know that wine is a very powerful bracha borei pri hagefen. The power of borei pri hagefen is that it exempts you from all the other liquids that you're about to drink in the meal. Right? So I had a cup of wine, I said borei pri hagefen. Now if I want to drink water during the meal, I don't have to say bracha or any other drink. Now, what happens if I drink a revi'it is 3 ounces, that's what I'm obligated to drink in order to say the bracha achona on wine. Instead of ala michya, we have ala gefen val pri hagefen. You could see that in your ala michya, there's ala gefen. When is that? That's when you had 3 ounces in a row, meaning not the 20-second break. Drink with 2 sips, maybe a second gap in between. If you had 3 ounces, you have to say ala gefen val pri hagefen. So I drank that. But what happens if I didn't drink a revi'it? meaning I just had a little sip of the wine, but now I want to drink water. I'm still exempt. I don't have to say she'akol on the water, even though I didn't have a big amount. However, if I had a full cup of water and just a little bit of the wine, what happens with beracha achona? I don't have enough wine to say ala gefen. Ala gefen, I need 3 ounces. I didn't have 3 ounces. On the other hand, I do have enough to say borei nefashot because I had a cup of water, but I didn't even say she'akol. Can I say borei nefashot without that I said she'akol? What do you think? So the answer is yes. This is a special case that he brings. I said borei pri hagefen, and the last bracha I said borei nefashot, even though there's no connection between them. But the borei pri hagefen exempt me from saying a bracha on water. And then when I had enough water and I didn't have enough wine, I will still say borei nefashot. All right. Now, on Shabbat, first of all, have you ever noticed that on Shabbat we have someone saying the kiddush for everybody? Why do we don't all have a cup in our hand, or maybe you do, whatever your custom is? But the idea is that if he says it for us, he exempts us from kiddush. Everybody has the obligation of saying kiddush right now. But in order to say kiddush, you need a cup that is full with an amount of at least 3 ounces. That's the minimum, weight that you need to have, or volume that you need to have over there. So if you're going to pour each person on the table, you have 15 guests, everyone's going to get a full cup of wine, it's going to go to waste. No one drinks all that wine. You have one representative, he drinks from it. And now we are exempt. So if we want to drink now wine in the middle of the meal, we don't have to say borei pri hagefen if we tasted from his wine. However, if we did not taste from his wine, and before we get up to do netilat yadayim, I want to have a sip now, a sip of water, or even a sip of wine, but not the wine that he drank from, a different wine. Then I will have to say a beracha, all right? So I have to say either a gefen, or I'll have to say she'akol ne'mivor. Unless I didn't talk in the middle and I had some grape juice in my hand. He said borei pri hagefen, I said amen, and I drank it. I don't have to say a gefen on this. But if you said borei pri hagefen, and he drank, and I'm talking, and his bracha is already finished, and now we're about to go do netilah, I want to take a sip of water. This could happen on Shabbat. I didn't taste from the wine. By the way, why do we taste from the wine? Is it an obligation? It's not an obligation. It's just to show Hashem that we like the mitzvot. Since he did a mitzvah on that cup of wine, I want to taste to show that it's called chibuv mitzvah. I like the mitzvah, I want to taste. But just so you know, when is there a chibuv mitzvah? When am I showing that I like the mitzvah? When I'm tasting from the actual wine that he did the kiddush on. But if I have a little cup in my hand and he says borei pri hagefen and I drink, I'm not doing a chibuv mitzvah. I'm not glorifying the mitzvah. It's just allowing me to taste it. But if I don't even want to have the kiddush, there's no benefit by me taking a sip from my wine. I could just hear his beracha and get up to do a motzi. I don't have to taste from his wine. All right. Now, regarding...
Wait, Ziv, sorry. So if in that case somebody drinks from his little cup, he answers amen to the kiddush, and then he drinks from his little cup, he's yotze because he answered amen, right? But then
is yotze de chovat kiddush. That's all I need. In order for me to eat the food, I have to say kiddush. If he said kiddush and took a sip and I answered amen, I'm yotze de chova. I'm not obligated. The kiddush.
Okay, but then if I drink my little cup, I have to say a gefen?
Depends. If you drank it without talking, he said borei pri hagefen, you said amen and took a sip from your cup, you don't say bracha. Because it also, worked on your cup. But if you continue talking with your friends and this and that, and then before a motzi, you want to take a sip of a cup of wine, even if his, that's it. The bracha doesn't exist anymore. Before it, there was no talking. Once it was talking, then you'll have to say borei pri hagefen. All right. Now, if I already said hamotzi, and I want to have some wine, I said hamotzi, not on Shabbat. I said hamotzi. Okay, I see time's up. This is the last halacha b'muna. I said hamotzi, and then I decided I want to have a cup of wine. Do I say borei pri hagefen, or the hamotzi covered my wine? What do you say? So the answer is...
Say it.
Sorry?
I would say it.
You would say, and you are correct. Even though hamotzi exempts everything, including all the drinks, what it doesn't exempt is borei pri hagefen. When we get to dessert, we'll also learn that hamotzi also doesn't exempt some of the desserts. Hopefully we'll get to Be'ezrat Hashem as well. The answer is yeah. If I said המוציא, then I want to drink wine, I have to say, בורא פרי הגפן. All right, רבותיי, חזק וברוך. בעזרת השם.
Baruch. Thank you, Ziv.
Thank you. Chazak
Bye,
Baruch.
bye. Ciao, ciao.
Bye, everyone.